Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Cardinal, the creator of the comic book series called Caius, a story of blood and stone, which is now on INDIEGOGO and in demand. You can find me here, there, and everywhere by looking for the username @TheRyanCardinal, so feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to all my social media. Thanks! Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. So, I'm going to tell kind of a little bit of an origin story about me and my first day as a tattoo apprentice. Now, for those of you that don't know, or are new to the channel, I used to be a tattoo artist for 19 years. I started at a place in Kelowna, British Columbia, and then eventually came to Vancouver, worked here for a couple of years, and now I'm officially retired from it. Spent a couple of years in the animation industry, and now I'm shifting gears toward comic books full-time. But this is kind of an origin tale, telling how I got the job and my first day on the job and what I experienced. So we'll go into it, a little bit of backstory that leads into it. So at this one point, me, my buddy Nathan, we're sitting down, we're having coffee at local coffee shop, and my buddy Nathan, he asked me, he's like, "Hey Ryan, can you draw me up something cool?" I was like, "Oh, what do you want?" He's like, "I want an evil, like, devil-looking character looking down in shadow." I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem, I can do that." And he's like, "And I want a Jesus version of that too." And so I drew both of them up, and then he goes and gets them tattooed. And he's like, "Hey man, check it out, I got it done." And I was like, "Oh, dude, those look great." And at this point, like, you know, I'm a comic book nerd, so I'm just looking at, like, line variance and line depth and all that kind of stuff, and the tattoo artist nailed it. And I was like, man, he did a really bang-up job. Like, he actually got the thick to thin, because a lot of tattoo artists, they just kind of one-line everything, you know, just that dead line. But I was like, man, I'm really impressed with that. And he's like, yeah, he was actually really impressed with your work. He wants to know if you want a job. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he's looking for an apprentice. And I'm like, I don't want a tattoo. Like, what the hell? I was like, what's with these people trying to give me tattoo jobs? So maybe about like a week beforehand, I had another offer from another tattoo shop asking if I wanted to be an apprentice. And, you know, it's your atypical biker shop, and I still, at this point, I don't know anything about tattooing. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know a lick of anything. At this point, I'm, you know, pretty young, and I just think everybody that's getting tattoos are just crazy, you know? I'm seeing the work that's being put out, like replication or like Boris Vallejo redone on back pieces and stuff like that. It's like, hey man, I'm an okay artist, but there's no way I can pull this off. And I just thought anybody who trusts anyone to tattoo that has got to be crazy, and then the artist doing it is also equally as crazy and immensely talented to the point where I can't even begin to touch. And I was like, nope, I'm out. So fast forward from this point, I've had the tattoo apprenticeship thrown at me 2 separate occasions, and in between the third time and this time, I ended up busting my knee in Kung Fu and completely destroying it skateboarding. Ended up having like the worst ACL tear that the doctor has ever seen in his life. He was like, I don't understand how your leg's even on. So I go in for surgery, and then it's, what is it, anywhere from 4 to 6 months recovery time. It's the old surgery that I got, which is, you know, now you go in, you can literally be fine in like 2-3 weeks, and you could be running and jogging. This is the old one where it, like, it's not that at all. It takes a long ass time to heal. So about 3 months in, maybe around the 4-month mark, the day that I'm able to get out of bed without being in excruciating pain and taking painkillers, I'm like, oh my god, I feel good. Oh, like, my leg isn't throbbing. This is good news. I'm on the mending road. I'm over the hump. And as soon as I get out of bed, the phone rings. I go answer the phone. This is days of landlines. And I pick it up, and it's disability calling. And they're like, hey, according to our records, you're able to work now. And I was like, yeah, this is like the first day I've been able to get out of bed without being in excruciating pain. And these are the exact words from disability. They said, good, you can get off your ass and start handing out resumes. You have 1 month to get a job or you're cut off at disability. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? They're like, yeah, according to our records, because you're able to work, you need a job. If you can't get a job, you're done. I was like, whoa, man, like this is like the first day I'm not feeling pain. They're like, yeah, we get it, but you need to get a job. It's like, all right, what do I need? It's like, you need to find a job where you're getting paid at least $80 a month. We don't care what job it is. We just need to know that you're actively working. And I'm like, oh, okay. well, what's the procedure? And he's like, well, they tell me to get a hold of them when I get the job, and then set it up and get receipts from the workplace, and then when I go for my disability, put those in. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's pretty straightforward. So now I, hobble my ass down to the local coffee shop, same one where I was hanging out with Nathan, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to think of all my options. I'm like, man, I gotta get my resume done. Who's gonna hire an 18-year-old kid that can't move anything, that is literally just cumbersome? My typing skills suck, so an office job is out of the question. What am I gonna do? What are my options? And at this point, my soon-to-be boss walks in, who's your atypical Viking biker looking dude. Like, he could have just walked out of like Easy Rider magazine into the coffee shop and be like, yeah, that's a biker. He's like 6'4", big red beard, and he's like, hey, Cardinal. I'm like, hey, what's going on? It's like, do you want a job? And usually when a biker asks you, do you want a job, in my mind, I was like, oh man, he wants me to run drugs or something, which is totally stupid to think of, but that's what ran through my head. It's like, oh man, am I at the point where I'm going to be doing that kind of stuff? I hope not. So I turned to him, a job doing what exactly? He's like, sitting on your ass making a couple extra bucks a month. And I was like, doing what? He's like, I need a new apprentice. I was like, well, you're in luck. I need a job. He's like, cool, I'll see you on the 1st. And that's how I got my job. So I was like, whoa, hold on, but I need a receipt or something to show that I'm working for you. He's like, okay, as far as I'm concerned, you're my janitor. And that's how I got the job. I became the quote-unquote janitor for the shop. So the 1st came around, I think it was June 1st, and so he's like, see you on the 1st. I hobble my ass down on the 1st. I come around the corner and I see a guy cleaning the window, because at this point my boss went from his old shop to his new shop. And so I was like, oh, they haven't, put everything up yet. Everything is still being cleaned. And I go in there and everything's pretty much set up. And the guy in the corner, he's wiping away the place, reeks of bleach, which is a good thing for a tattoo shop, smells clean. And I'm kind of just, looking around, observing, because I'm like, this is going to be my new place of work. All right, cool. And it's an apprenticeship, and I'm going to be here for at least a couple of years. So, take it all in. And as I'm looking around, I'm noticing like, oh man, the display cabinet's busted up. Oh, there's glass all over the place. Oh, they must have dropped it, like transferring it from the old shop to the new shop. And I noticed that, no, bear in mind, there's carpet on the floor. This is like in the 90s, which, carpet in a tattoo shop is just freaking gross. But it was in the front. The back area didn't have carpet, but still, it was very gross. And as I'm looking around, I'm noticing that like there's like, dark splotches all over. And I'm like, oh man, like, looks like they, spilt oil or something. And then as I'm looking around, and I look up and I notice that there's like these little dots, kind of just like peppered all over the place. And as they go back to the area where the body piercer is cleaning. And I'm like, oh, what's going on with this? And so my boss comes out and he's like, oh yeah, it's some dude tried to fight me last night at the bar, and he followed me back here, so he tried to fight me again, so I ran his head through the display cabinet. I'm like, oh, that's all blood spray. And as I'm kind of looking around, I'm like, yeah, ran him through. It looks like he pulled him out, and that's, yeah. And so I look outside, and sure enough, there's like not drops of blood, but like, when somebody gets, beat the F out of them, and then their head is down, and it's just pouring. That's what it looked like. It was just like, blip, blip. And that's what those brown blotches on the carpet were. And I look outside, and sure enough, there's just like globs of, blood all over the place. And I was like, oh, so this is what my apprenticeship is going to be like. Duly noted. This kind of stuff goes on. All right. And yeah, that was my first day as a tattoo apprentice. I got to see the end results of a fight that took place the night before when my boss ran some random dude who tried to fight him, his head through a display cabinet. And it's not the first time stuff like that happened, definitely not the last time stuff like that happened. I got a few stories, but being a tattoo artist for 19 years, I kept my nose and my P's and Q's and kept out of a lot of business, because I saw when stuff got crazy, it got freaking wild. And I came up in kind of like the tail end of the Wild West tattoo days, kind of like the old school era, taught by bikers, how to make your needles, how to, do all the stuff by yourself. A lot of ingenuity on like how to make stuff. Back in the day, you couldn't just order stuff. It's not like how it is now. Like you hop on anything online, you can order equipment. No, like you had to be verified by the shop. There had to be a lineage kind of a thing. If there wasn't a lineage, then you're not getting your supplies. Very, very old school. So, yeah, that's the tale of me and my first day tattooing. Well, not tattooing, but as a tattoo apprentice. So, super interesting, super fun, and it's a great job if you get it. It's probably not as wild as that anymore, but there is no other job like it. It's amazing. Now that I'm retired from it, I look back on it fondly. When the good times are good, when the bad times are bad, they were just times. But I want to do a quick indie comic shout out here. I'm just going to get this here and get this out of the way. So, indie comic shout out is going to Soulfinder Demon's Match by Douglas Ernst. He's in his last 3 days of his campaign right now. He's already hit his goal. He's at $20,000. He's got 560 backers. We'll take just a quick look through here. Looks like a very cool story. He's got Dave Dorman do the cover for him. Very, very awesome interior art. And he's already got a couple tiers that have sold out, which is awesome. And from the looks of it, you know, it's got like a supernatural element to it. Some great, great looking art. So go and check that out today. Like I said, he's got 3 days left on it. And that's Soulfinder, Demon's Match by Douglas Ernst. And yeah, I'll be talking to you guys in the near and dear future. Alright, peace out. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks!